Okay, we've got lots of UFO news to talk about today, so get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Yeah, to start with, I just wanted to let you know that Jon Stewart's documentary about the alien interview is now online. So, go check it out, huntingforvictor.com, and I'll link to it below. And yeah, the alien interview, case closed at long last. Jon Stewart's documentary about hunting for the whistleblower that leaked that footage, and of course an exploration of the alien interview and his evidence that it's a legit non-human being we are seeing in that video is finally out. So yeah, I'm watching it right now. Great stuff. So absolutely go check out Jon's documentary. It's gangbusters stuff. If you're on the fence about the alien interview, maybe this will tilt you over to the side of being a believer. I know I am, and Richard Nolan says he is as well. So yeah, meanwhile, Garry Nolan is talking about the energy source for UFOs.
So I remember talking to a physicist who is, deeply involved with the program, meaning he actually knows a lot about, and he has top security clearances. And I said, so they're moving really fast and they're doing it in a way that they don't have an onboard fusion reactor. He said, well, we can't find their energy source. I said, so they're cheating somehow. I said, yeah, you can call it that. Somehow they're accessing levels of energy that are sufficient for them to make this move without exploding the sun every second. So I think one of the things that humanity is good at is, and that anybody in the intelligence field or frankly any field, commercialization knows, is that once you know something can be done, then it's a race to doing it yourself. If it can never be done, then
you give up.
You give up.
Okay, so there you go. The UFOs don't appear to have any apparent source of energy. They're not finding element 115 in these things, which is very interesting. Or is there like a mothership that radiates the energy out and they can all access it or something like that? What do you think is going on? Of course, is Garry getting the real information from these guys? Obviously, if they're running around in UFOs or ARVs of their own, they've kind of cracked that energy problem, right? So there's definitely some missing pieces here, or mostly missing pieces. But that's what Garry was told. Very interesting stuff. Meanwhile, I just wanted to share this. This is just such a fascinating UFO video. It's been around for a while, of this UFO that just drips this molten stuff. Nobody's been able to explain this or debunk this, of this thing just dripping stuff. And we've heard experiencers or witnesses report about UFOs dripping slag-like metal. And in fact, some people have even recovered this slag-like metal and analyzed it. And, they haven't found anything, otherworldly about it. But it is really fascinating. I don't know if that's what this thing is doing or not. But it's really cool footage, and I wanted to share that with you if you hadn't seen it. And of course, I'll link to it below. There's other cool footage of this helicopter, military helicopter, which is in the sky at the same time a UFO is in the sky on September 12th at approximately 4:16 p.m. south of Seattle. Shows a fixed sphere in the atmosphere as a military helicopter flies within its vicinity.
Hanging out.
Fast forward to the UFO. Here we go. Here we go. Look at that. Got a classic sphere right there, hanging in the sky. Making time reverse. All right, there you go. The fantastic time traveling abilities of UFOs. But that was a cool video. I like that. Meanwhile, we've got new discoveries in Göbekli Tepe. In June of this year, the Turkish Minister of Culture and Tourism announced 8 more archaeological sites had been discovered in the Göbekli Tepe region. There's a plan to excavate them within the next 4 years. So that's very exciting, and you can watch the full interview. Of course, it's in Turkish, but I'll link to this and you can read the full transcript anyway. But that's cool. I mean, Göbekli Tepe has redefined what we know about our history. So who knows what these new sites will tell us? I'm really intrigued to find out. Meanwhile, another cool UFO video is making the rounds. This interesting.
Okay, today is Saturday, November 23rd.
Yeah, it's an interesting shape. I'll let her talk.
Colorado Springs, Colorado. And we are looking at the planet Jupiter there, the bright star up there. It's actually planet Jupiter. Over here to our right is, and I can't kind of see all of it, but that's Pikes Peak over there where the red light is. That's where the light tower is on Pikes Peak. And you come over here, and there is what appears to be a UFO, and it is cube-shaped, and it has flashing red lights, and it's pretty cool looking. I can't really catch it very well on here, but it's very interesting to watch this. It's just kind of hovering there, and we bet NORAD's on this because NORAD's not that far away. But man, this is pretty intense. What do you?
Yeah, that's an interesting UFO. I mean, could that be some sort of tower up there with the lights on it? And, you know, this is a hoax video. Or is that a legit weird-looking UFO? Got these weird lights in this, you know, grid pattern, this square pattern, just kind of hanging out in the sky. Meanwhile, Garry Nolan also gives us an update on the Havana syndrome and what he was told regarding the Havana syndrome.
And the government has gotten deeply involved with it, and there's probably some state actor or non-state actor who's using energy weapons to hurt people. I mean, it's not a fabrication. I mean,
I think the Cuban government was supposedly.
I think they were they were probably, if not doing it, aware of it, and it was imagined. And I've been told that it was the Russians. You know, we have our own energy weapons, just a microwave device that shoots in a direction. There's nothing science fiction about it.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. He was told it was the Russians. Of course, the Russians are often used as a scapegoat, but they do some nefarious things like starting wars. So who knows, guys? But that is what Garry was told, or at least that's what he's able to relate to us, is that the Havana syndrome is caused by energy weapons from Russia. Meanwhile, Ross Coulthart says that he has 100% confidence that the U.S. has recovered UFOs.
I'm now in the position where I say with 100% confidence that the United States and other countries have recovered non-human craft. There are intelligently crafted technologies that are in the possession of the US government, the Russian government, and the Chinese government, and possibly one or two other governments. And the fact that this is not foremost on the editorial desk priorities of the Washington Post or the New York Times is an indictment of those newspapers, because
well, it is, but we've also heard and seen reports on how the CIA has embedded themselves or their agents or their influence in the newspapers since the 1950s, in the news media in general, one would assume, to suppress the UFO story and to put out disinformation related to UFOs. So I'm not surprised that that is still ongoing. Hell, I'm surprised when I see an article about UFOs that's actually either positive or neutral on the subject. But yeah, there you go, Ross saying 100% the U.S. and other countries have this material. Of course they do. We know they have that. Meanwhile, I'm not going to show the whole clip here, but Salvador Pais, who has the patent on some really interesting UFO technology, is saying that the very fact that they changed the terminology to say UAP when we very well know that these craft are UFOs, that drives me nuts. And he is thinking that this means that all the UFO disclosure that we have been seeing since 2017 with Lou Elizondo coming out of the UFO closet, of the E-tip closet, that is all some sort of disinformation campaign. So, you know, I'll link to it and you can listen to him explain what he means by that. I don't think UAP itself, the nomenclature change from UFO to UAP really signifies anything nefarious, rather than they wanted to ditch the baggage and maybe the criminality, from UFO. They don't want to admit there's been a UFO phenomenon they've been hiding up and dealing with all these years. Oh, it's a new phenomenon. It's UAP. Well, okay. And also, just ditching the stigma in the baggage about UFOs, allowing people to see the phenomenon in a new light. There was a branding thing, and it seems to be working. So I'm not against using UAP, although I don't think we should ditch the baggage. They are UFOs, and they always will be UFOs. And we should never forget that they have been keeping this secret and still are still doing God knows what behind the scenes. Meanwhile, Tim Burchett and Eric Burleson in the U.S. Congress are asked by Tim Alberino about AARO and what they think about AARO.
Tim, I'll start. My perception is that these guys gave up very quickly. I think that they investigated things, and I believe that 99.9% of the events that are reported are not real.
Sure.
They can be explained. And I think that they suffered from that kind of mounting evidence and came to the conclusion that they couldn't find anything, therefore that there wasn't anything. And I think that the latter is the mistake. And so to me, if it does exist, it's going to be extremely rare. And I think that they had a defeatist attitude whenever we spoke to them.
Okay, yeah, they don't have a defeatist attitude. They have a cover-up attitude, Eric. Eric is not a UFO guy. He's not into all of this. Or at least publicly, that's his stance. And this is what he has to say. He's going into it with that perspective that he's not into any of this. He's not aware of the history of UFOs and the rich evidence that we have of UFOs and, of course, encounters and experiences. He just sees what a normie would see, and he talks to AARO, and they tell him what they tell him, and he gets the impression, oh well, they just gave up and they're not looking hard enough. Clearly, that's not what's going on, and it's unfortunate that Eric has that stance, but at least he believes they are not doing all they could do. And, if nothing else, that's a good thing. Meanwhile, Tucker Carlson is talking about summoning UFOs.
It's like they possess technology that defies the laws of physics, but they crash. So I just don't think that makes any sense. And what I believe is true is that these recoveries have been the result of the summoning of these craft. And that's the word that was relayed to me, the summoning of these craft. So, if you're summoning, what does that even mean? You're talking about a phenomenon that exists in the spiritual realm. I mean, that's more like a seance than a science expedition.
Okay, Tucker seems to be looking at all of this in more biblical terms, more religious terms, which I think is unfortunate. Tucker did a lot for ufology. He was the one that really made it acceptable for news anchors to take the subject seriously and to talk about this openly. And he was really a champion, love him or hate him, of ufology. But now he seems to have gotten on this religious kick and, interpreting the phenomenon in strictly religious terms. You can summon UFOs. You can do C5 and you can summon UFOs. Or as he's probably talking about, more of the Michael Herrera situation where his information has it, where these people with psionic abilities in the control group or, recruited by the control group, bring these craft in, summon them in, and then they are shot down. So, that does seem to be a thing, and I understand his frustration about trying to understand why these craft keep crashing, if indeed they are as powerful and advanced as they seem to be. But summoning doesn't mean you're summoning a demon, Tucker. That's not what we're dealing with. Some of these may be other dimensional beings, and you can interpret that as spiritual, and some of them may be positive or negative. But I would, not interpret that in a strictly religious framework. Rather, the framework is what is built around the actual stuff and looking at it in any particular framework, I think is putting blinders on whatever religion it is. I think a lot of religions are indeed founded out of encountering the phenomenon and trying to explain it. But then you put all this dogma in it. And that's where I think things get unfortunate. And I think that is unfortunately where Tucker is coming from at this point. Hopefully he will have a change of heart or will be exposed to new information at some point, because he has done a lot for ufology, and I think it's unfortunate that that is where his headspace is at the moment. But meanwhile, we've got new Nazca lines. That's right. Researchers have identified 303 previously uncharted geoglyphs made by the Nazca civilization in Peru with the help of machine learning, including figurative representations of humanoid figures resembling aliens, domestic animals, fish, birds, and cats. Most of the new finds were discovered with the help of AI and drones, allowing researchers to analyze extensive geospatial data and identify high probability sites for undiscovered geoglyphs. So there you go. AI and drones are uncovering new Nazca lines or geoglyphs. That is a really interesting abstract figure of, that's supposed to be a cat. What is that? I can see like the two ears maybe. I don't know what that is, guys. Let me know what you think that is. But that's cool. We're discovering new geoglyphs. Geoglyphs are fascinating. Not only are they found in the Nazca region where the Nazca mummies are from, but geoglyphs are found all over the world. And I just don't think that people came up with that independently of each other. I think that's some sort of shared cultural thing going on. Maybe they all had the idea of scratching in the dirt figures that could only be seen from the air. Maybe a bunch of different cultures around the world just had that idea. But what a random idea, right? And how impractical. And I don't see it happening independently of each other. I think that's some shared culture, whether human culture or non-human culture, I don't know. But fascinating that they are uncovering more of these guys. Last but not least, there is a deer running around in British Columbia that has a vest on. Is it a skinwalker, or is it just somebody put a vest on him? I don't know. Let me know what you think about this crazy deer and everything else covered today in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure appreciate it. Smash the like button and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. Love to see you guys there. If you want to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, consider grabbing a coffee mug or a t-shirt in the merch store below. See the link. Or you can become a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you so much. Meanwhile, there's plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.